Incredibly diverse and colourful is possibly the best way to describe northern India. Although just under half the size of Australia, India has a population 60 times as large. It has 18 official languages, and there are also more than 1,600 minor languages and dialects. India's human history stretches back 10,000 years, but its first large-scale empire was created around 200 BC by Emperor Ashoka. Since then, the north has had many empires and rulers who have left behind some truly remarkable buildings. The town of Sarnath is home to one of the most important buildings in northern India, and it dates right back to that first empire around 200 BC. It's called the Dharmek Stupa and is constructed on the spot where Lord Buddha is believed to have preached his first sermon. Buddhists show their devotion by circling the monument in a clockwise direction. Another way pilgrims show their devotion is by applying gold leaf to the outer perimeter. Through the centuries, it has been added to and modified. The carvings around the outside of the drum date from the 5th century AD. Next to the Dharmek Stupa are the ruins of a number of Buddhist monasteries and temples. Although Buddhism was founded here, India has always had a majority of people following the Hindu way of life. Khajuraho has some of the best preserved Hindu temples in India. The Chandela dynasty began building temples here in 950 AD. All told, 85 temples were built in the area during the next 100 years. The Lakshmana temple was one of the first to be built and is dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu.
You see beautiful elephants and horses with their armor.
These figures are carved into the stone around the base platform. The temple exterior is also carved, with figures of gods, goddesses, warriors, and mythological animals. More superb carvings can be found around the inner sanctum. Of the 85 temples constructed, only 25 remain. One of the last to be built was the Kandiara Mahadev temple. This temple is devoted to the god Shiva. The Hindu kings of northern India were progressively defeated by Muslim invaders from the northwest. Delhi was the last Hindu kingdom to fall in 1193 AD. To celebrate his capture of Delhi, the Muslim Sultan promptly began construction of a tower called Qutub Minar. The 5-storey structure at 73 metres high is still the world's tallest single tower. The Sultan only built the first story, and the task of completion fell to his successor. About 100 years later, the Sultan of the time felt he too needed a monument and proposed building a second tower nearby that was to be twice as high. He died shortly after construction began, and it has never been completed. The next dynasty of rulers were the Great Mughals, and the magnificent city of Fatehpur Sikri is possibly the most outstanding from this time. The Mughal Emperor Akbar began construction in 1571 AD. Akbar's city was divided into private and public areas. Citizens with disputes or offenders to be tried would appear in this courtyard facing the Diwan-e-Am, or Hall of Public Audience. From the hall, Akbar would dispense justice. Half buried at one end of the courtyard is a stone ring to which an elephant was tethered. Apparently, if an offender was to be executed, the elephant would perform the task by trampling the person to death. The rear of the Diwan-e-Am opened into the royal family's private courtyard. At one end of the courtyard, the Diwan-e-Khas, or Hall of Private Audience, is where Akbar would meet with his trusted officials or learned scholars. Close by is the treasury, where valuables were stored in stone safes. Next to the treasury is a pavilion with some elaborate stonework depicting sea monsters. Akbar's private quarters contain an enormous raised sleeping platform where he would receive his many wives and concubines. Outside is a pool with a central platform where singers and musicians would perform. Apparently the water level was raised or lowered to improve the acoustics of the performance. On the other side of the city is Jodhbai's palace, where several of Akbar's senior wives lived. As well as grand palaces, the Mughals also created amazing tombs for the ruling elite. Delhi and Agra contained famous examples of such tombs. They were built in the 30 or so years after 1622 AD. The first great example of a Mughal garden tomb was in Delhi. Situated in 30 acres of formal gardens, the tomb is made of red sandstone inlaid with black and white marble. It was built for Emperor Humayun by his senior widow, who lived on site during construction to supervise the work. Several of Humayun's wives and other relatives are buried here also. The next significant development in tombs was the Art Madala in Agra. It was built for an important member of Emperor Akbar's court and was the first Mughal building faced entirely in marble and extensively inlaid with pietra dura.
So when she became Empress of India, her father Emperor naturally rose up to the rank of Prime Minister. In those days, they gave Asman ul Jahan. That's the chance technique. It's also dilated from chest, and if you knock that on the floor, you can find hollow sound. And no, that one.
It is thought the Art Madala was the inspiration for the most famous building in India, the Taj Mahal. Emperor Shah Jahan designed this memorial to his favourite wife, Mumtaz Mahal, after she died giving birth to their 14th child. 20,000 men toiled for 21 years to build this monument, using white marble inlaid with quotations from the Quran and patterns of semi-precious stones.